challenges and experiences. It should never be imposed on any country. In our case, we've had to take into account our own experience as a nation and as a country, where we are dealing with challenges such as unemployment and poverty, and also dealing with a history of division in our own country, of racial division and all that. So any plan of this nature that helps the country to transit needs to take into account the circumstances of any country that is going through this type of plan. The second one is we've had to say this should be a just transition. It must take into account the existential situation of various communities, particularly workers who work in fossil fuel establishments. What happens to them when we transit, to their job situations, communities who live in those areas. So all that needs to be taken into account, and any country that embarks on this journey must define what a just transition is going to be and what it is going to look like, so that whatever is done should not leave anyone behind. In fact, we should see a situation where new sectors will be established and people will be taken along. The third one is that we need to be flexible. It needs to be a flexible type of journey. Right now in our own country, we have learned, as we've been traversing this path, that we've got to take into account our current challenges. And our current challenges are born out of the history of our own country, but also they have to deal with our energy shortage right now. 90% of our energy is generated out of fossil fuels. And right now the country is going through a major energy challenge because our energy generation is way below the needs of the country at the moment. So we've said that as we transit, as we implement this JET-P, we need to take into account that, and some of our fossil fuels power stations will need to remain in existence as we are traversing this journey. So it is important that that should be taken into account. The other one, of course, the major one, is the finance part. What we did after making our clear, bold statement, as well as after reaching this JET-P deal, and having been offered 8.5 billion in the form of grants, in the form of concessional loans, and in the form of plain vanilla loans, we found that actually we're going to need much more, up to $98 billion, which is far much more than what has been on offer. So therefore, we need access to funding. And the funding has to be innovative. Funding has to increase on the grant size, and also the concessional loans also need to be considerable. And where we have gone to now is that we have found great understanding from our partners about our situation. Recently, just yesterday, I had the Prime Minister of Denmark and the Netherlands visiting our country at the same time, and they made commitments, being very much alive to all the circumstances that we face. So we are encouraged by that, because all this journey requires partnership, and the partnership must be active. It must be a partnership that takes into account where we are, but it must also be a partnership that is willing to commit to a future that will lead to fair. That's where we are, and the lessons that we are learning are ongoing. Almost every day we learn lessons. What we've had to do is also to set up a commission that brings everyone, every important stakeholder in the country together. So I've set up a presidential climate change commission, which brings scientists, academics, trade unions, government people, both at local government level, provincial and at national level. So all of us participate in this type of debate, and it's becoming a very rich debate because nearly everyone participates. It's not just government imposing its own will and wishes on our people. So everybody sees in a very transparent way what we are seeking to achieve. And so that in the end ensures that no one is left behind and we walk this journey together. So that's the lessons that we can put out for everyone to hear.
I worship you, mighty glorious Father, maker of my soul. I worship you.
During the 2008 financial crisis, the stock market
hana kero na mtu, hana shida na mtu yoyote. Mtazamaji, hiyo ndio hali ambayo iko sasa hivi katika maeneo ya Kisumu, lakini kaunti jirani kule Migori ni kwamba hivi sasa kama ni mtu ambaye unapenda kuitumia barabara ile ya Sirari ambayo iko katika mpaka wa Kenya na Tanzania, itakuwa migumu kuweza kuitumia barabara, manake tayari waandamanaji maeneo yale washaifunga ile barabara. Ndio picha ambayo tunaziona katika maeneo ya Sirari katika kaunti ya Migori. Barabara hiyo, maafisa wa polisi wako pembeni pale wameweza kutilia na wananchi wamefunga barabara hiyo kutatiza shughuli za usafiri. Ukiangalia ni mawe pale, mrundo wa mawe kwa umepangwa pale barabarani kuhakikisha kwamba hakuna anayetoka Kenya kuelekea Tanzania hatapita na hakuna anayetoka Tanzania kuelekea Kenya hatapita. Tuwasikize wanasemaje kwa sasa.
Living. The people of Migori, we have decided to pick it today and to demonstrate because it's our right to demonstrate. We want to tell Koome, please.
The president left Luo Nyanza. He left us with a message to talk to our son Raila Molo Odinga to give him an opportunity to govern this country. I concur with him. It is President William Ruto who fought in 2007 to 2008 for Raila Odinga to get a portion of the then government. This is the son of man who stood alone at KICC with facts, figures and logic to turn the tables on those who are hell-bent on taking victory from Raila Odinga. I can confirm here that it is President William Ruto who made Raila Odinga become the Prime Minister. It is now time to reciprocate. It is now time to return Mukono. It is now time for him to give President William Ruto also a chance to lead. In any case, President William Ruto is alive and a founder member of ODM. In fact, we can go into the streets knowing that it is an ODM member trained by ODM who is now governing the country. But we must also say we cannot use protest to solve every problem in society, including famine. That is not acceptable.
Hana kero na mtu, hana shida na mtu yoyote. Mtazamaji, hiyo ndio hali ambayo iko sasa hivi katika maeneo ya Kisumu. Lakini kaunti jirani kule Migori ni kwamba hivi sasa kama ni mtu ambaye unapenda kuitumia barabara ile ya Sirari ambayo iko katika mpaka wa Kenya na Tanzania, itakuwa migumu kuweza kuitumia barabara, manake tayari waandamanaji maeneo yale washaifunga ile barabara. Ndio picha ambayo tunaziona katika maeneo ya Sirari katika kaunti ya Migori. Barabara hiyo maafisa wa polisi wako pembeni pale wameweza kutilia, na wananchi wamefunga barabara hiyo kutatiza shughuli za usafiri. Ukiangalia ni mawe pale, mrundo wa mawe kwa umepangwa pale barabarani kuhakikisha kwamba hakuna anayetoka Kenya kuelekea Tanzania hatapita na hakuna anayetoka Tanzania kuelekea Kenya hatapita. Tuwasikize.